So you spent yesterday on the lake yelling into a megaphone,
Yeah, yeah, and just yelling in general, you know.
right?
And
Okay.
I kind of, I kind of have like sometimes when I get in like a shouty mode, it's like my voice just like,
There's three different things that I can talk about. One is what you could do today to sort of ease the discomfort and help, you know, help with a little bit of healing. Probably the best thing that you could do right now is drink a lot of water today and maybe even take some ibuprofen or an anti-inflammatory if your body will tolerate that. Just a mild dose. Your vocal folds are probably a little bit swollen, which is okay. You should rest today. Try not to shout or yell. It should go back to normal within a couple of days. And if it doesn't, that's when you need to, maybe contact a speech therapist, vocal therapist, et cetera, et cetera. Then there's what to do the next time you're going to go do this, and all of the like, this is why your voice hurts, and here's how to not do that again.
right.
Like if you're on your way to the lake and you know you're going to be doing this, or you're on your way to the protest, or you're on your way to the bars or whatever, you can actually warm up your voice in order to
So the sudden shift is like kind of a bad.
yeah, so just like you wouldn't go running, you wouldn't run a marathon without warming up all those muscles and stretching first and getting them all, getting everything moving, and stretch, being hydrated and getting the fascia all nice and lubricated and whatnot. You don't want to do that to your vocal folds either. The best and easiest and simplest thing to do is a really, really quiet hum. And you could hum along with the radio. You can borrow from, the vocal technique stuff that you might have learned in choir in high school or whatever, but just a really quiet where you're not trying to make a ton of sound. You just want to bring the vocal folds together so that they're vibrating together. You don't want to do this right now because you're inflamed, but it's good that you practiced it and you tried it. There's two pieces of the puzzle when you have to talk loud or project or shout, is to remember to stay in alignment. So the body has a way that it's designed to function optimally. But what happens when we go to yell or shout or project, we tend to thrust our head forward. And what does that do to all the muscles in your neck? So that pulls the larynx out of its proper position. You can hear the change in the way that my voice sounds even. So a couple of easy ways to just get into that, we call it standing balance or head balance. One would be to squinch your shoulders up towards your ears and then let them drop. And another way to do it is if you're standing up, or you can take one small step backwards.
Oh yeah,
yeah. I think we did that last time. When
yeah.
you step, yeah, in your chair. When you step backwards, you cannot step backward. You have to think to step backwards out of alignment.
Right.
So it's really easy to I'm going to just take one step back and
yeah, that's where the phrase comes from. Oh, what do you know? We're in alignment.
And you have a whole new perspective on everything too. So the other piece of it is to remember, on the physiological side of it, is that the vocal folds are only about this long. That's about the size of a dime. They're tiny.
Wow.
So if you're thinking that is where the power and the volume and the sound comes from, you would be mistaken. All that the vocal folds do is provide the pitch or the actual resonance. That's all they do. The head resonates like the bell of a clarinet or the bell of a trumpet. The head is the resonator. The pitch comes from the vocal folds, the larynx, and then the control of the air is the piece that allows you to do that more loudly or more sustained in order to sort of use the rest of your body, which are way bigger muscles than just here. You have to think of putting the power down. You move the power center in your brain for shouting or singing comes from a very different place. So it's down in your abdominal core and also the intercostal muscles, which are the muscles that are in between your ribs, which you may not have even known that you had. But there's two sets of muscles in between each rib.
Playing with my ribs.
One set of muscles lifts the ribs so that the lungs can expand, and the other set in its relaxed state is contracted so it pulls the ribs down in order to expel carbon dioxide. You have those muscles which you can strengthen if you choose to, and get coordinated with the whole effort of I'm going to use those to create sound with instead of here. This is like the reed on a bagpipe and you're the bag.
Yeah.
The bag is interior, right? So if you allow yourself to bring in more air than normal and you engage all these muscles and keep them engaged so that your ribs can't just collapse, you now have access to the power that you need to continue to speak or to shout or to sing for a longer duration.
Okay.
Yeah.
I'm on it.
Yeah. So you could start doing this today because it doesn't involve any voice. You can allow that deep inhale, expand and engage those muscles, and then just and don't let those muscles collapse. Yeah. Uh-huh. Good job. So by preventing the natural collapse, so that you're controlling the airflow that goes past the vocal cords instead of just doing it all on the out breath, then you have nothing left and you're trying to make all the power here up in the little tiny voice box. When you have a microphone, a lot of times people think, oh, well, I have a microphone, so you just talk really softly, but that actually puts more work on the cords. So if you were using a megaphone, if you continued to project and do it, with good physiological engagement, you could do it way longer and let the megaphone do the loud for you. So you just stay projected and, hey, how you doing over there?
Right.
Now, we're not used to thinking of the intercostal muscles, the ones in between your ribs, as having strength, but you can train them to have strength by doing vocal exercises and practicing, and even just being aware of, hey, I'm going to go sing along to the radio, but I'm going to inhale and puff out my chest and leave it there. You're training those muscles that when you sing, they're engaged in a different way, right? Right. So that's where the strength is in the body, is in these bigger muscles. And when you go to sing and engage that rectus abdominis up and down, and the obliques and the transverse, you can then just
But yeah, okay. Oh wow. It was like I didn't expect. Oh yeah, I can just do my hands can do whatever they need to do. Everything's fine because like this thing is just like contained. Where it's just like once that's
all the power in singing is you use your brain like crazy, And all the muscular effort is in the big muscles of your trunk. Blink, process. Yeah, blink. Let your body process that information. There you go. So tell me what you learned.
Big thing. All right. Power definitely comes from below. Like this is just like like if it was a guitar, it's just like moving your fingers up and down. It's just a tone pitch thing.
Mm-hmm.
But
Mm-hmm.
like, all the volume is like this.
Good job.